Hey everybody, we are back. I know for you it probably doesn't seem like a long time, but for us it feels like weeks. But it hasn't been weeks. We have a fun show today, let me tell you. Crystal and I have talked about this a lot. Who would play in a movie Berserk? Not an anime movie, but a live action, real person video of Berserk. Which it has to become. Come on, this is like not making
The Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, or Game of Thrones, or Shakespeare. I mean, come on. It's really great stuff.
Yeah.
And that means it needs great actors and actresses. Note the use of the term actress. Anyway.
They could also do like 12 seasons. Like I would watch. They could make it a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they could.
I would watch past the eclipse.
Or 13 books, 13 seasons.
Yeah, I could
Unless
see
there's
that.
14 books.
I think there's 14.
And then leave it hanging because, unfortunately, our friend, the author, has passed. In fact, to all you Hollywood producers out there, come on, let's get with this. Peter, if you're listening.
You have to take this on.
Okay, maybe not 13 episodes. That might be too much.
No. How many seasons is Game of Thrones?
But at least 6. And you know what? We could have a show in between. Like they did with The Walking Dead. Like that.
Please. I hated The Walking Dead.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do.
People say that you look like Herschel.
I liked Herschel. He was
Herschel's
the
great.
Was he the veterinarian?
He was the doctor, I guess.
Yeah, I think he was a vet. Though.
Yeah, lost his leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me pass out when he lost his leg.
All right, shall we begin? So what we've done with much prayer, fasting, no, I'm kidding. No prayer, no fasting. But we've thought a lot about this. So we have a whole list of the people of Berserk. Those people who super matter. And we have the stars and starlets to play them. Now, let me point something out. I got to draw from all of Hollywood. Some of the people that I'm drawing from are too old to play the roles, but there was a time in their lives they could have easily filled the role. So we're not caring about age or if they were stars from the 1940s or 2025. I don't care. They're the perfect choices. Now, when I have a discussion with Peter Jackson one day, he might say stuff like, you know, Vivian Lee, she's not around anymore.
Yeah.
I have to find someone else. Maybe Anne Hathaway. I don't know.
I could see it.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we jump in? Yes. We're going to start with Flora. Not because she's not important, but because, well, we didn't get enough of her.
Agreed.
In fact, the fact that we didn't get enough of her is why my choice is the perfect choice. Because if there's any actress who ever played in a movie that we never got enough of, it is the greatest, the sweetest, the most lovely of all, Audrey Hepburn.
Agreed.
Now, what is it about Audrey Hepburn that makes you think she could be Flora? Well, she's staggering, that's for sure. So was Flora. If you saw the pictures of her...
Ethereal Flora?
Yeah, she was really something. And there's a certain wisdom to her, and you knew that in the back of her mind, Audrey Hepburn really was a wise person. Very, very wise. So beauty, wisdom, strength.
She's got it all.
Yeah.
She also aged gracefully. Like when she was in her 60s, she looked incredible.
Yeah. It was in the eyes. Those eyes were something else.
Yeah.
They remind me of Flora, which is why Flora would have to be.
Her.
Now, Zod, or as I like to say, Nosferatu Zod. He's got to be played by someone sinister, but in a way mockingly similar. And I think the best choice for that is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's a big dude, you know.
He played Maui.
Yeah,
and I feel like that gives like the...
He can even sing if you need him.
Yeah.
They got to enhance it a little bit, I think, but he can sing.
Imagine Berserk as a musical. Someone call Peter.
Exactly. So Dwayne Johnson for sure. Nosferatu Zod. Probably get an Academy Award if he played it.
I could see it.
All right. What about the Skull Knight? This came to me pretty quick. Skull Knight is a very interesting character. He's not to be trifled with. He can handle anyone and anything. Arnold. I don't even have to say his last name. It's just Arnold. That's enough. Yeah. Arnold would play.
He'd be great.
He would be awesome. He'd come in, he'd steal the scene because he's tremendous. And you'd walk away and you'd say, Peter, you did a good job. Arnold was the man.
I feel like he's also quiet, just like the School Knight. Like, he's a man of few words, but his
Yeah.
presence speaks more than
And
him.
he's European. Come on. He's been acting for what, 50 years? And he can't do an American accent.
Please.
He'd be perfect.
He doesn't need to. The Skull Knight barely talks.
No. Yeah. All right. Rickert.
You had trouble with this one.
A lot of trouble. It took till this morning to come up with it, although we touched on it a little bit last night when we were in our deep discussion.
Yeah.
And it is, and I don't know his name, I didn't look it up, and I'm sorry about that, but from Game of Thrones, after the evil, rotten, disgusting Joffrey died, his brother became king, Tommen. And we liked him. We liked him a lot.
He's a great guy.
Sure, he threw himself out a window, and Rickert wouldn't do that. But, come on, he'd be a great Rickert. If you took Tommen and said, you can't be king anymore, but I'm going to turn you into a blacksmith, he'd go, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'd probably be a darn good one.
Agreed.
Just like Rickert. Next, my favorite character, or at least one, Gaston.
Love him.
Gaston. He just wanted to bake bread.
Please.
I'm telling you. It's there. I got to look through the books. I know he was a baker. You say he was a haberdasher.
I think he
Clothing,
was.
bakery, I don't know. In fact, when John Cena opens the scene, we got to have him kneading bread. Who could do a better
You
job?
didn't even say that it was him.
Oh, Gaston, John Cena. Absolutely. Kneading bread, and then they'll throw him a sword, and he'll say, yeah, I can fight.
I don't know why, but it just fits perfect.
It's perfect.
Like, he's just the perfect guy.
Peter Jackson, won't you please come home and do this movie?
Thanks.
All right, we're not done. Now, one of my favorite characters also, because he was such a pain in the butt. Corkus.
Put a cork
Put a
in it.
cork in it. Come on. There's only one person who can play Corkus. And you have to envision him in two different movies. The first one is Terminator, and the second one is Predator 2. In Terminator, he plays the punk, the leader of the punks. In Predator 2, he plays a wannabe detective who's just bugging everybody to be part of it. I think he gets by the Predator 2. Anyway, Bill Paxton. No, did I say Paxton? Yeah, Bill Paxton. Now, sadly, he's gone too. Darn it. But, Peter, I'm just going to leave it to you.
Is he going to revive him?
Well, I don't think he's into resurrections like Jesus is, but
Wow.
Peter can find, maybe he's got a younger brother, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could play
But
the part.
Corkus, Bill Paxton was so good at just, remember him from Aliens.
See, I don't remember him from that, but
Oh.
are you telling me that he's the one that Arnold stole clothes from?
Yes.
Like, they were in,
Yes.
like, that little biker gang or whatever?
Yeah.
Your clothes. Give them to me.
And then he just, like, took their clothes and they were, like,
And
naked,
just like
and they're
Corkus thinks he's someone, so did he.
Fuck you, asshole.
In Aliens, he was always throwing in the towel. He was so good. I'm trying to think of his. You're dead. He was like a valley boy saying what he was going to do to the aliens. You're dead. Anyway, I'm going to get off on a tangent when I talk about Bill Paxton because he was one of my favorites.
Corkus came through, though. Do you remember that one time where, like, he led the band of the Hawks?
Yeah.
To save them? Wow. So he can come
Bill
through.
Paxton could have done it.
Yeah.
He took out a lot of aliens. The guys will know. Pippen. I discussed a long time ago who Pippen reminded me of immediately, and it was Odd Job from, I think it was Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had that hat with the razor blades, cut someone's head off.
I can only envision Pippen as him now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Now, here's a problem. There's no way he's still with us because he was a 40-year-old guy. Nah, he wasn't. He was Japanese, so he could have been anywhere from 20 to 60.
I want to talk about the fact that that Pippen was 25 because he looked 40.
He was an old timer, yeah.
Yeah, but he was only 25.
Pippen. When he went down, I shed a tear. It was tough.
He was a man of few words, but
You knew if you were in a foxhole, it'd be great to have Pippen there. It'd be better to have Casca there, but I digress.
Please.
Now, some of you are going to be really upset.
Why?
Sweet Jude Blue Eyes.
No, I think this is a perfect casting.
It is a perfect casting. It's absolutely perfection, and I hope I pronounce her name right as a hint. Jeanette McCurdy, I think is her last name.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're saying to yourself, but Glenn, it's a guy. Well, first of all, look at the pictures of him.
Yeah.
And then look at pictures of her. She's a beautiful gal.
Agreed.
Now, is she tough? Absolutely. Was Sweet Jude tough? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Who was his best friend? The beloved Casca. Who did he protect to the end?
The beloved
Now,
Casca.
if Sweet Jude, as Jeanette McCurdy, and Casca were friends, Jeanette would lay down her life for her.
Oh, for sure. And Jeanette could totally play a guy. I feel like her character is always a tomboy. And she has the perfect Jude nose.
Yes.
Like that little button nose.
And you have to admit, Jude, when he drew him, was a good-looking girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
And Jeanette is just an absolutely beautiful girl. We are up to Puck. Now, you're going to say, Puck is a little tiny guy. Shouldn't they animate him? No.
No.
No. There's only one guy who could have played Puck. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Robin Williams.
And it's crazy because someone said that in the comments before.
Really?
Yeah.
Flag the tape and tell him he's genius.
Yeah.
Well,
He's the perfect.
comic relief, a lot of wisdom.
Mm-hmm. And he's just like the sweetest man.
Yeah, what a nice guy.
But he's also like sarcastic and dry. And like he's just the perfect Puck.
And who could have did the talk show route to recommend the movie to the masses, the Peter Jackson movie? Who would have done a better job than Robin Williams?
You're not wrong. He would have done great PR.
So, who could we pick besides Robin Williams? No one. So the movie can't be made.
Please.
Now,
What about the musical?
what about, I know what about the musical? That's, Robin Williams could dance.
Oh, you could probably sing too.
Gosh, so many Hollywood people are really talented. How do you say her name?
Who?
Little Good Witch's.
Oh, Schierke.
No, that's not Schierke. Little Good Witch is Schierke, but who was her little elfling?
Oh, I call her Elvira.
Elvira. Well, yeah, we did kind of name her that because who can pronounce her name?
Yeah.
There's only one person who could play Elvira, except that she's not quite mean enough. But who would be better than Tinkerbell?
True.
Come on.
Yeah.
They're both lookers, and I'm talking about the cartoon version of Tinkerbell.
Yeah, I know.
None of these American, none of these non-animated thing. I'm talking about.
No, she'd be great. You put Tinkerbell in a cute little pink outfit.
She was always in something like that.
Mm-hmm.
She had better curves than Marilyn Monroe. I'm serious.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Not wrong.
She was a little Tinker
I
fairy.
couldn't have been more right about anything than Tinkerbell.
Part of me thinks Tinkerbell, but with Jennifer Coolidge's attitude. You know who I'm talking about?
I do not.
You don't know Jennifer Coolidge?
I have been out
Fully,
of that.
you would totally know her.
I'm out of my depth
if
here.
I showed you her. But she has like the voice of what I think Elvira sounds like.
What was she in?
Jennifer Coolidge?
Yeah.
She was in Legally Blonde. She's the one who did like The Bend and Snap. You don't know?
Well, I saw the movie once. Mom told me we're going out for action adventure, and it turned out to be that.
Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
That's so real. Yeah, I'm going to show you her after. We'll have Jamie pull it up. But I feel like she would be the voice of Elvira. Maybe even Ariana Grande could totally be Elvira.
I never even considered her for anything.
Yeah. But she has that like voice that Elvira would totally, I could totally see Ariana Grande.
Well, if anyone wants to use her for anything that's possible we couldn't come up with, that might be a good choice.
Agreed.
Yeah. Now, we're up to Little Good Witch. I did a lot of thinking about this because she's such an important person. And you're going to have to go back in time to grab this actress from a particular, there was a couple of movies, but one in particular reminds me, called Leon or The Professional, Natalie Portman.
Yeah. When you said Natalie Portman at first, I was like, no way. But when I saw her, like the visual in the movie,
Yes.
I was like, oh, absolutely.
You will have the picture, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, great choice, I think. The Professional, the movie, was fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. Natalie Portman is just a wonderful actor. She would be a great
Little Good Witch.
Little Good Witch. All right, we're up to Serpico. Now, none of you are going to even know the name of this one, but I picked him because he was a fantastic swordsman. He actually played sinister characters for the most part, but there's one character, I used to watch him after church on Sundays. They were old reruns of Sherlock Holmes, starring Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce, Dr. Watson. Basil Rathbone was a great swordsman, and they'd have to dye his hair blonde, but he would have been a great Serpico.
Yeah. You, and I told you this earlier, but I think you forgot, you've already deemed someone Basil Rathbone. Do you remember who?
Well, I revoke it and reassign it.
It was the guy that slapped Griffith across the face.
Oh, well, he was a
Julius.
good... Yes, he was a good Basil Rathbone, because I always told you that Basil Rathbone played people just once removed from the king, whispering in the king's ears, and it's always for his own good.
Yeah.
That's why I say he played sinister role. But Basil Rathbone, man,
Yeah?
he was great. He was great. Now, we're up to Farnese, and this was a tough one for me again. I wanted to use Heather Locklear because my wife thought she was the greatest. But then we rethought it and came up with Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence. You could see her, you know, because of Hunger Games stuff,
Yeah.
doing some swordsmanship. You wouldn't see her, you know, applauding at the burning of someone at the stake, but Jennifer Lawrence would be a great one.
She was a tough cookie. And I
Yeah,
feel like Farnese
yeah.
plays like a tough cookie.
And we're going to find out that this prediction of mine is a good one because she's coming out of her, I'm worthless, I'm no good, you know, she's going to come into her own.
This is the only one where I felt like Marjorie Tyrell in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yes, yes.
I don't know what her real name is, but I felt like she looks to me the most like Farnese. Like I could totally see
Okay.
her in that role,
Yeah.
but mostly just because of how she looks. And she was like, I mean, she was kind of, I don't want to say like manipulative, but she was charismatic in a way that like is, you know, where it's like she can bend people to her will.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of Farnese's shtick too.
Especially with a sword in her hand or a pitchfork or whatever is handy.
And I feel like Marjorie was good at bluffing.
Oh, and she manipulated like nobody's business.
But she did it so gracefully.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Always with a smile on her. Let's go take a look at the riffraff. Yes. All right. We're down to the final three, at least that we could come up with names. And I refuse to put him as number 2.
Yeah.
No way.
So he's got to be number 3.
Femto, he whose name must be forgotten, was by another name, the rat of rats, the rottenest of rottens. And now,
Played by the infamous.
played by, yes. And I have a feeling he could do a good job.
I'd agree.
Yeah,
He'd kill the role.
yeah. Dylan Mulvaney.
I see it.
He's perfect. He's
I
so-
genuinely think that he would make a great, or Hunter Schafer. I showed you Hunter Schafer and we
Okay.
discussed Hunter Schafer for Jude.
All right.
And you were like, wow, that could be like a really great Jude. And I was like,
We'll revisit him.
Yeah.
But Dylan Mulvaney,
I think that you have to do Dylan Mulvaney first as Griffith, and then you have to change it to Hunter Schafer when he's in his ethereal form.
okay. We'd have to put some pounds on him. He's a rather slight fellow.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But
I
so
have a
is
feeling-
Griffith.
I have a feeling he can act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Well, you know what? Peter Jackson will find out.
That's true. We just have to get him on the phone
All right.
at this point. It's like,
Now, the beloved Casca.
our beautiful girl.
The beautiful, beloved Casca. There aren't many that can
No.
play that role.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, there aren't that many lovelies of that kind of, 11 out of 10. Come on.
Caliber.
But there is one from way back. Vivian Lee. And it's a perfect matchup. Vivian Lee came to fame because of her role in Gone with the Wind.
Mm-hmm.
She played Scarlett O'Hara, and she was fantastic. I think she got an Academy Award. And if she didn't, well, I'd have a little talk with some of those people in Hollywood. What do they know? Nothing. After all, I haven't had a call from Peter Jackson yet. That's already been a minute.
I have to give you my take for Casca because it just came to me. Halle Berry. I take Vivian Lee
Yeah.
and I raise you Halle Berry.
All right, that's pretty good. But let me analogize with what she went through in Gone with the Wind. Who was she in love with?
I've never seen it. I don't.
You haven't seen it?
No.
How do you know anything about? You haven't read the book Martha Mitchell?
No, is it?
How do you know about the Civil War if you haven't read Gone with the Wind?
It's a musical, no?
No, no.
Sure. Oh, that's the
Scarlett
sound of music.
O'Hara and Rhett Butler and Ashley. She was in love with Ashley. Well, Ashley was in love with another woman
No.
and married her. But she was in love with Ashley, and Ashley was so much like Femto.
Yeah.
Yes. But the one for her was Rhett Butler.
Which is.
Clark Gable. Yeah, baby. You got a nice pair of drivers. But
No.
that's legs.
What?
Clark
know.
Gable was fantastic. He was fantastic. And he was the perfect one for Scarlet.
Mm-hmm.
But she kept thinking about Ashley. And if
Please.
Casca doesn't watch out, Rhett's going to toss her. Or I should say, Guts is going to toss her like Rhett tossed
He would
Scarlet.
never.
He did.
Not my guts.
Rhett did.
He would never do that.
That's why he said, "Now, Scarlet, I don't give a damn."
Please.
Close the door. All right. Now, this one took a lot of thought too.
Grand finale.
Grand finale. Another drum roll. As Guts, he's older now. But even as an older guy, he kicks butt on the screen.
Agreed.
A little bit of makeup, a little of this, a little of that. He's got to spike his hair and permanently spike it. Because if you've noticed, when Guts is in a big fight, never a hair out of place.
That's true.
Yeah, he didn't even sweat.
He doesn't need to.
Should we tell him who it is?
Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves. Now, he's a pretty big guy anyway. My guesstimation is he's 6'2"-ish, 6'3" maybe.
Yeah.
And Guts is like 6'9". But come on, there's nobody 6'9" in Hollywood who can act. But Keanu Reeves can act. He's also a quiet guy. Guts doesn't say much.
True.
Maybe a little pat on the shoulder. Can't you see Keanu Reeves patting somebody on the shoulder, little Goodwitch?
I could see that.
You
He
could see
has that like dad vibe to him.
But if you go all the way back to that first movie I remember him in, where he's an FBI agent going against the Surfer Boys, and he's got a Valley Boy accent. I forget the name of the movie, but he couldn't play Guts then, but he could play Guts now. And you wouldn't mess with Keanu Reeves, would you?
I would not.
Heck no.
But also, I raise you this. You said that there's no actor in Hollywood that's 6'9" that can act. I raise you Pauly from Reacher.
Yes, but I would allow for that as long as he's got the armor on.
Yeah.
And then because you really need Pauly from Reacher to deal with Nosferatu Zod.
Well, couldn't you also see...
Although Keanu Reeves could kick his butt.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But couldn't you see Pauly and Halle Berry together? I feel like that would be a great Guts and
Well,
Casca.
here's the thing.
And then you have Dylan Mulvaney on the side.
Every guy wants to be with Halle Berry, let's face it.
That's true.
Yeah. So would Pauly want to?
Of course.
No, he was rotten to the core, though.
He
You do
wasn't.
remember that.
He was
I read the
just-
book. He was rotten.
Such a good boy.
Oh, Pauly was rotten.
Why?
Oh.
He was so good.
He
I feel
wasn't
like
kind
he
to
could be
women.
so stoic. No, he seemed so sweet.
He
in
wanted to
Reacher.
kill Reacher.
But Reacher's a boy.
Yeah.
I feel
The-
like he would like
if
be the
you
kind of
read
guy
the-
that would open your door on a date.
No, he would
Oh.
slam your fingers in the door.
I don't think so.
Oh, he would.
Maybe if I was a boy, which that's fine, but not like a girl. I feel like he was so sweet.
If you read the book, you'd never pick ball.
Well, if you looked at his Instagram, you would see that he has a very nice, loving wife.
Right.
And he's a great dad.
Anyway, those of you who are in the know realize that there's one person we didn't mention, and she's pretty important. In fact, it seems like she's becoming more important now.
Agreed.
And that's Charlotte. Because no matter how long we talked about it, we could not come up with Charlotte. The closest I came to Charlotte was Shirley Temple. But you can't think of a Shirley Temple getting ravaged
No.
by you-know-who.
Yeah.
The mind shuts down.
Agreed.
So we can't allow that.
There's like a fail-safe.
But there's guys and gals out there who know who would play that role perfectly. We got to hear from you. So if you're having fun with this, and I hope you are, like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and we'll be back. Goodbye.